Welcome back to FM Live. My name is Mike, and today we are going to be talking about replacement gauge hoods. So, a lot of the NA generation cars are probably very familiar with these gauge hoods or what's in your car. You've seen them. You see them every time you go drive. And like most NA owners, or a lot of NA owners, your gauge hood is probably getting pretty old. It may have sun damage. It may have cracks. So we've got replacements for them. So you might think that these are exactly the same gauge hood, and they look very, very similar. The eagle-eyed among you will probably have noticed a few differences in the shape and the design. So, such as a little bit of this kind of winged area here. You can also notice that this is smooth, whereas this one has a little bit of a tooth on the side. And you're like, okay, what's the difference? Why are there two different ones? So, for those of you that haven't had one of each, this is the NA6 version. Basically, the 1990 to 93 Miatas have this particular style. The dash is different, hence why there's a little bit of a contour change right here. And this is for the NA8, or the 94 to 97, where the dash is a bit more rounded. So there aren't, if you have an NA6, you know what a crash pad is. 94 to 97 owners, you have no idea. But it's basically just the shape of the dash. That's why there are different designs for the NA6 versus the NA8. Flipping them over here, some minor differences between the two, but overall they kind of look pretty similar. The same kind of way that they have attachment clips that push into the dash, but slightly different shapes right here, that kind of stuff. Be aware, if you're not sure what you have, give us a call and we'll help you out. That way we can make sure that you get the right one. They are very, very similar to factories. I've already explained and showed you some of the details. They are made of a very UV-resistant plastic, so these should last you as long as, if not longer, than what the factory hoods have done as far as resisting any kind of fade. I would think that probably these would do a little bit better job than the factory ones. The texture is similar-ish to the factory hood, and the factory hoods, they do have a little bit of a kind of a, not quite a matte texture to it, but that kind of feel to it. It's probably not something you can quite pick up on the video, but these are actually hoods from different manufacturers, so the texture is just a little bit different, this one to this one. So it's not going to be an exact 100% match. If you're a collector and you're restoring your car and you need it to be numbers matching, you need everything to look the same, probably the Mazda hood would be the way to go. If you're like most Miata owners that you're looking for a replacement that looks nice, but you're not looking to break the bank, these are probably a better option for you. If you are comparing the factory one to a brand new one out of the box, these guys, to me, I haven't actually put any calipers on them, so I apologize. I don't have that quite empirical data for you. They feel a little bit thicker to me, but otherwise very, very similar in weight and feel. It does come with new clips. If you've ever pulled your gauge hood off and you saw that there was not a clip that attached onto your hood and it was actually still in your dash, these ones are pretty securely attached. If you've lost them, you don't need to worry about trying to order those separately. The only thing that these don't come with are the extra little screws. And you should hopefully still have these in your dash, but they're just two coarse thread screws with a Phillips head and kind of a flange on it. And they do also have a 12-month warranty as well. So if for whatever reason you have an issue, you see it has a crack, manufacturer defect or something like that, and you're within that 12-month warranty, give us a call. We'll get you fixed up, no problem. If you have an NA6 like this one, this is for left-hand drive only. And this is a very minor detail, and it's really even hard to see in the video probably, but there's actually a high point right here that if you had a right-hand drive, it would be over here. The NA8 dashes, I believe, are symmetrical, and you don't have to worry about that. Let's show you how it goes in the car. Very easy. Only thing you really need is your handy-dandy screwdriver. Full disclosure, we actually had this gauge hood installed in this car, so it's very easy. Normally what you do, because you would have this one already in place, is you take out the two screws from the bottom. Those are these little guys. So they're just coarse thread screws, nothing special. And then you can install it just like this, but you'll have to fight it a little bit to get around this steering wheel shroud. So I would recommend that if you don't want to do that, to remove this guy. There's this little piece that pops out of the top. Just little clips, no big deal. And then you've got, I believe, 3 screws on the bottom side. That this one, I think we have already handily removed, except for one. So this is kind of a clamshell design, where the top just has little tabs that mate in with the bottom piece. And then you can kind of flex these guys apart. There you go. You can see it has little teeth, and the teeth just clamp into each other. And same thing on this side, you just pry them apart. Normally you'd be able to pop this off. My screwdriver isn't long enough. You may need a slightly longer shank on your screwdriver to be able to reach the one in the back corner, because I think that it's still up in there. So if you get to this point where you're struggling, it doesn't come apart relatively easy, that's probably what's going on. Make sure you get all the screws out. But I'll show you, even though it's still attached on here, you can still kind of get it in place. So you may need to move your stocks around a little bit. But from here, all that we have to really worry about is getting these guys lined up with these holes. And then you can see there's a little bit of an alignment dowel right here. And then down here, this is where those screws will mount on this side. Carefully position it like this. And then I'm going to just flex this a little bit. If you move this clamshell out of the way, you'll have a lot easier time. But even with it in place here, you can carefully position your tabs. Just like so. So I've got it roughly in position. And you can see that it's pretty much lined up right there, but I still have it loose. Now that you have it at this point, all you have to do, just give it a little bit of a shove, and it's in. So from here, you take your screws and put it back into the 2 little holes that are underneath on the bottom side of your hood. And then same thing with the screws on the bottom side of this. You line up your little locating teeth. That way it's loosely reassembled back to where it's supposed to be. And then put your screws back in there like so. Now, because we didn't have this in the dash whenever we were showing you to do the whole process, the easiest way to get it out, again, remove your clamshell, remove your 2 screws, and then the simplest trick is just to carefully get your fingers underneath the hood right here, kind of where it meets the plastic portion of your gauge cluster, and just pull forward carefully. You don't want to give it, you're not trying to rip this out of the car because you're trying to destroy it. If you've got a cracked hood, you may not care, but that's all you have to do is just pull straight back, because all that's holding it are these 3 clips right here, and they're kind of positioned horizontally facing the driver's seat. So that's all you got to do is just take out your screws down here in the bottom, and then kind of lift your fingers underneath here and just pull straight back. That's it. The NA6 version is almost identical. Again, the design is slightly different, but it's the same kind of process. You take out the 2 screws, you remove the screws to be able to take apart the shroud, and it pops out pretty much the same way. The clips are designed pretty much the same. So if you're doing it on an NA6, the dash looks a little bit different, but same steps, no problem. As always, thanks again. We certainly appreciate your time listening to me babble on and on about our new products. Hopefully enjoy it. If there are suggestions for any other products that you'd like to see us talk about, leave those in the comments below, and we'd love to cover them next time. Thanks again, and remember, stay in spool.